Sandra, TikTok facing backlash after videos supporting a letter written decades ago by the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks surged in popularity. Osama bin Laden's infamous letter to America condemns the United States for its support of Israel. The Chinese-owned TikTok says it's aggressively taking down videos promoting the disturbing document, but will TikTok face any consequences? Let's bring in Chair of the House Select Committee on China, Wisconsin Republican Congressman Mike Gallagher. Congressman, good to have you with us. There are renewed calls to ban TikTok after what happened regarding to bin Laden's infamous terrorist screed, the so-called letter to America. But is it realistic? I recall back not too long ago that Congress seemed to have TikTok on the ropes. The CEO, Shou Chew, had the stuffing beaten out of him in a hearing, and then the whole idea just kind of went away.
It is realistic. There's no question we lost momentum as a combination of a few factors. One is that TikTok launched a massive multi-million-dollar lobbying campaign, the likes of which I've never seen in my time in Congress. You may recall that in the Republican debates, they've been running ads saying that TikTok is all about small business and apple pie and America and all that. So that's put some people on their heels in the swamp. The other thing is other efforts to try and ban it from the Senate were drawn a bit too broadly. There was a concern that this would amount to a grant of authority to the executive branch. We've learned from that failure, and now I think we're close to having a targeted bill that would allow for one of two outcomes: an outright ban, which would be the gold standard, or a forced sale to an American company, which would have control of the algorithm, which would satisfy my national security concerns. And the fact that the Chinese Communist Party has thus far proven unwilling to allow such a sale tells you everything you need to know about this app being potentially a propaganda instrument or weapon for the CCP, an instrument to be used for what Xi Jinping calls the smokeless battlefield of information warfare.
Yeah, you know, just on the subject of the bin Laden letter being promoted on TikTok, we talked with Brett Eagleson, whose father was killed on September the 11th. Here's what he had to say about it.
To the TikTokers that are saying these inflammatory remarks, you should all know that Hamas and Al-Qaeda and people that you're supporting and giving credibility to would not hesitate 1 second to kill you or kidnap you and your family and hold you ransom simply based on the color of your skin or your gender identity.
What would you say, Congressman, to these young people on TikTok, the so-called creators, some people might call them attention seekers, who took a look at this and said, oh my gosh, you've got to read this. It's such a revelation. It changed my life.
Well, I hate to be crude, but I would say that anyone that reads bin Laden's letter to America and thinks that it's revelatory and there's something to be admired in it is a complete idiot. I mean, the TLDR version of the letter is America is a slave to the evil Jews. Israel must be destroyed, and by extension, America must be destroyed. So if you believe those things, you are almost unredeemable. I mean, that's crazy. And to amplify that rhetoric is very, very dangerous. It could result in violence. We've seen an explosion of anti-Semitism here in America, in other so-called sophisticated Western societies. It's very, very dangerous. And while social media in general is a cesspool, I will grant that, TikTok is unique in that it is owned by a Chinese company which is beholden to the Chinese Communist Party. And given the CCP's demonstrable desire to divide America against America, to amplify the narrative that America is an evil, systemically racist place, it would be national self-suicide to allow the dominant media platform in America to be controlled or at least influenced by the Chinese Communist Party.
All right, well let me just expound a little bit on what you said there, because a Pew survey has found that 1/3 of adults under the age of 30 regularly get their news from TikTok. Look at this, 2023, it's 32%. Back in 2020, it was only 9%. So more than 3 times the number of people who got their news from TikTok in 2020 are now getting it. What does that say? That this is the predominant source of information for this group of young people who will become America's future leaders?
Well, I think it should hammer home the point that the concern is primarily about the propaganda power not just the data, right? TikTok's ability to access your data, track your screen activity, your location, that's a problem. But the primary problem is it to be used as a source of news and propaganda, and further undermines TikTok's claims that this is just about entertainment, not politics. Those claims are untenable because, as you say, almost half of Americans use TikToks. A third of adult users get their news from it. American teens say they're on the platform almost constantly. So it has significance beyond short, playful dance videos.
Yeah, I think the statistics show people spend about 90 minutes a day on TikTok. And you times that by the number of users, by the number of days in a month. That's a huge amount of consumption from that one platform. Congressman, good to catch up with you. Thank you. We'll continue to follow the push for a ban on TikTok. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.